I never imagined this moment would come. Like, here we are 600. Even it doesn't even feel real right now. 600 subscribers away from that 100,000 journey, that 100,000 goal that I've been annoying you guys with for so long, and I cannot utilize words to express how appreciative I am for all of you. When I started this channel 2.5 years ago, I really just wanted to kind of educate people on the finer points of owning an online LGS, kind of supplementing your income, really utilizing the cards to make the most out of your collection goals and enjoy the hobby, enjoy the game, do what I can to help grow the player base and the collector base. And it's been such a crazy journey and such an amazing ride. And now it still doesn't feel real. And I mean, I guess the wheel could fall off and things could just completely implode. But hopefully either tonight or tomorrow night, we'll be able to go live once we get to like 99,700, somewhere around there, and kind of hit this goal together. And I just thank you. Thank you so much. And I'll be more cliche and more corny in a video after that 100K goal is reached. And I'll make sure to do it on a day that I don't normally drop an actual Pokemon video. But thank you so much. And if you haven't hit that subscribe button already, if you could do me a favor and help me on my way to my goal, I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. Leave a like, leave a comment if you enjoy the content that I provide. Obviously, if you don't enjoy the content, don't do any of those things, and I totally respect that this content isn't for everyone. But I want to talk to you guys today about the tag team alternate arts. We talked about these cards in January, and in January when we talked about them, I was like, hey guys, these are really starting to go nuts. These are starting to really perform like mad, and I think the only one that really wasn't trending in the upward direction was the Blastoise and Piplup. Everything else was just skyrocketing, and I thought, okay, well, maybe this is going to hit a wall a little bit, but it hasn't. And one of my favorite purchases that I bought at the Fort Wayne regional tournament that happened a couple weeks ago, somebody came up and they had a Latias and Latios GX alternate art, and I thought to myself, I just love this card. You know, I have one that we pulled in some beyond lucky moment, and that was it. I remember that Latias and Latios GX card selling for $30, $40 a couple weeks after release when Team Up came out, and not jumping on a bunch of them then was, now looking back, was just a dumb decision. But this card has skyrocketed, and I'm looking at this card and I'm like, okay, well, what is a good, respectable offer for this? And I start looking at TCG Player, and there's nothing listed that's in near mint condition. So then I'm starting to look at eBay, and some of the raw prices on eBay were trending in that $800 direction. I was like, holy buckets, this card has gotten so expensive. So I'm starting to look at all these other tag team alternate arts, and some of them are just doing the same thing. Just there is no end in sight at some of these cards. So I wanted to revisit them and kind of gather your thoughts and your opinions. Now, I think that a lot of these, the print run, first of all, is going to be significantly different, right? So there is a lot less quantity of these cards probably in existence as what you will see from like the Umbreon VMAX, from the Gengar VMAX, from the Espeon VMAX. Even though those are secret rare VMAXs and a lot more difficult to pull, when you start talking about the amount of print waves that these sets have had, it probably just blows the amount of print waves that Team Up had out of the water. Team Up pretty much had one release, one wave, and that was pretty much it, because there was enough booster boxes in stock to last distributors for a couple years, because Pokemon was just not in it was just in a completely different situation then as far as supply and demand go. It was very difficult for stores to even sell Team Up booster boxes at $100 a piece. Everybody wanted booster boxes at $90 a piece. They didn't want to pay $100, maybe $85 in some cases. There was no margin when it came to some of these booster boxes, and I know they reprinted sets like Unified Minds and Unbroken Bonds to a very small extent later on a couple years ago, but very, very small, to a point where it really didn't impact the supply in the market too much. But I'm going to flip you guys around and stop rambling so you can see what I'm talking about. And we're going to start with the Latias and Latios GX, and this graph can no way, shape, or form be accurate, because that 438.07, which is the 1 year high that this card is currently sitting at, like I said, there is not a single near mint Latias and Latios GX sitting on TCG Player right now. There was a couple that were moderately played. There was one that was heavily played. I don't even think there was any lightly played, but there was only a handful that were available, none of them being near mint, which means as soon as one of the near mints gets listed on there and sells, that is going to establish a new market price for this Latias and Latios GX. And who sets the market price? Well, it's whatever a collector is willing to pay for that item. So if a collector is like, well, I want to pay $700 for this card, and if somebody puts it up there for $700 and the collector is like, yeah, I think that's worth it, then all of a sudden this hollow foil market price jumps up a couple $100. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens with this specific card moving forward. But you can see a year ago in April, this card was trending at 250. 257.11 was a one-year low. When we started looking at this card in January, it was right around that 360, 375 mark, and then just continued to trend upward, as you can see, sitting at 438.07. So what's the end for this card? Where is it going to go? What's the ceiling look like? I don't know, but I'm curious to know what your guys' thoughts are down in the comments section below. Magikarp and Wailord, same story, different card. This card is absolutely fantastic. I remember watching a regional tournament that we were streaming back when I was a part of Dead Jaw Gaming, and this card coming in and basically taking 6 prizes on one turn. Azul was using the Magikarp and Wailord against, I think it was one of the Cracklers. I think it was Alex Crackler. I can't remember exactly who it was against, but it was the most fun clip I've ever watched on a TCG stream with that Towering Splash GX. It was so entertaining, and the artwork on this card is just absolutely phenomenal. And you can see just very slow growth for the beginning of 2022, April all the way up until September, and then it really exploded. You can see in April it was at a one-year low of 62.37. It's almost tripled in price over the past year, and the majority of that damage has happened over the last 7-8 months, because in September is when it really started taking off, and you can see massive growth September, October, November, December, a little bit less in January and February, and then another surge up. So sitting at 172.37 currently, so that's a one-year high for this card. Another alternate art from Team Up. The third alternate art that we're going to look at is also from Team Up. These are the top 3, I believe, most expensive of the cards, which would make sense with Team Up being kind of the least amount of the printed from those 4 alternate art sets in the Sun and Moon block. Gengar, Mimikyu, absolutely gorgeous card. Again, slow growth, organic growth. It seemed April, May, June, July, September, or August, September, and then October hits, and then starts seeing a lot more of a steep incline there. So December, January, February really starts taking off. April of 2022 was at a one-year low of 72.65. Now you're sitting at 185.24. So well over doubling in price. You're looking at about 150% growth over the past year, which is absolutely insane to think about. The Arceus and Dialga and Palkia, so this one is from Cosmic Eclipse. This one has not seen as much growth as some of the other ones, and this one's actually kind of interesting because I remember buying some of these a couple of years ago when they were trending right around that $80 mark, and if we're looking at a couple of years ago, this was already selling for $80. You're not seeing as much growth with this specific card right here. Now, part of that might be because when I was looking at these cards, it was because ADP was extremely playable in the competitive format. But what's happened since then, not as much growth as what we saw, especially from those first 3, but even some of the other ones that we're going to be looking at here in a few minutes. But you can see in April, it was trending at a one-year low of 85.38. It stayed relatively consistent for the next few months and then started seeing some steeper inclines there starting in September, leveled off a little bit in October, November, and then December really started shooting up again, sitting at 129.61, which is still, you're looking at about 60% that it's grown over the past year. The Gardevoir and Sylveon GX, a beautiful card from Unbroken Bonds. So a lot of these cards, obviously 2 different variants. You have the full art textured versions, which are gorgeous, but then also these alternate art textured versions, which are just, I mean, they're sublime. They're so beautiful. April of 2022, this was trending at a one-year low of 55.63. It actually went up a little bit prematurely in June and then started coming back down a little bit. So it went trended upwards and then back down a little bit, leveled off all the way up until November, and then like what we saw from a lot of these other alternate arts really started taking off after that. So 145.43 is where it's currently sitting. That's a one-year high for this card, almost 3 times the price of where it started a year ago. The Mega Sableye and Tyranitar from Unified Minds, another really cool looking card. It just blends perfectly with the Sableye there. In April of 2022, it was sitting at 43.28. That was a one-year low. Went up a little bit until June and then consistently stayed the same for the next 3-4 months all the way up until November. November. And then like a lot of these other alternate arts, modern alternate arts, or I say modern, but I'm actually meaning Sword and Shield alternate arts, started really taking off in November. So did the Sun and Moon ones. And you can see this giant incline here where it over doubled in price, sitting at 103.47 currently. So that's a 1-year high for that Mega Sableye. The Blastoise and Piplup really started taking off again. You can see it was actually trending in the downward direction, sitting around $60 in April, and then going all the way down to about $40 in September of 2022. It hit a 1-year low of $40.72. Now it's almost doubled in price. This one, probably not as much detail in the artwork as some of the other ones, but still really cool with the bubble effect going on there. You can see October, November, December, just really, really steep inclines there, trending all the way up to this $73.24 1-year high. Then we've got the Raichu and Alolan Raichu. This is one of my favorites. I love this card. I love the storyline that it's telling. In April of 2022, this was sitting at a 1-year low of $36.17. It's over doubled in price since then over the past year, sitting at $78.54 currently, with the majority of its damage being done, like a lot of these other alternate arts, in December, January. This one's from Unified Minds. Then we've got the Slowpoke and Psyduck from Unified Minds as well. A little bit different than some of the other ones, fairly consistent from April, May, June, July, August, September of 2022, and then starting to take off in October and November. You see those steeper inclines that we were talking about. It went from $29.58, which is a 1-year low that it hit in June of 2022. Now it's sitting at $70.64 as its 1-year high. The Greninja and Zoroark has seen some huge increases over the last several months. The actual 1-year graph on TCG Player was very messed up, so I took the 3-month graph, but this is what it's done just over the past 3 months. You can see in January, the last time that we talked about Sun and Moon alternate arts, it was sitting at $45.04, so it was sitting at a 3-month low at that point in time. It's almost doubled in price in the last 3 months, sitting at $82.72 currently, and that's just showing you some of the power behind these alternate arts. So this one is from Unbroken Bonds. Really cool Greninja and Zoroark hanging out right there. The Rowlet and Alolan Executor, this is the first time we see trending backwards a little bit. So this one started increasing quite a bit in April of 2022. It was at a 1-year low where it was sitting at $17.92. Saw some slow growth, and then like the other ones in October, November, we saw that steeper incline, that massive growth right there. It hit $42.40 as a 1-year high, or closer to that $45 mark as a 1-year high. And now it's backed off a little bit, sitting at $42.40 currently. So this is the first time where it's not continued to trend upward in February and March. It's actually backed off a little bit from where it was a couple months ago. The Naganadel and Guzzlord, kind of like what we saw from the Slowpoke and Psyduck. This one is from Cosmic Eclipse. In April, May, June, July, August, September, very consistent, sitting around that $17 mark. It hit a 1-year low in July of $17.31. And then like these other ones, it really started shooting up. But that incline, that trend moving upwards just continues to happen, sitting at $41.57 currently. That's a 1-year high for that card. Pheromosa and Buzzwole. This one is sitting currently at $38.20. That's a 1-year high for this card right here. You can see it hit a 1-year low in August of 2022, which is a little bit different, a little bit later where it hit its 1-year low of $10.48. But again, very consistent for the majority of 2022 up until September, October. Then it started taking off a little bit. You can see in December it slowed down a little bit, not as massive of an increase right there, but still January, February, March, and now even in April starting to trend even more upwards, sitting at $38.20. This one is from Unbroken Bonds. Then we've got the Marshadow and Machamp. This one has grown quite a bit, very steep inclines over the past few months here. In April, all the way up until September of 2022, it was growing, but at a much slower pace. And then October it hit and started moving a lot faster. In April of 2022, it was sitting at $19.21 and just took off after that, sitting at $61.34 currently, trending upwards. Then we've got the Muck and Alolan Muck. This one has at least slowed down a little bit, and this one not as massive of increase, but still some steep inclines in February and March of 2023. For the most part, April all the way through November, it saw some slower growth, going from $12 to about $18, and then in January, February of 2023, it was like, oh, hold on a second, we're a $30 card. Let's blast off a little bit here. Now it's sitting at $32 and a penny currently, so that's a 1-year high for that card. And then the last one that we need to talk about, for some reason I always forget the Mega Lopunny and Jigglypuff. So this wasn't even on the last video that we recorded on this, but this one is from Cosmic Eclipse as well. You can see April, May, June trending upward, and then actually started going backwards a little bit. It was in April of 2022 that it hit a 1-year low of $20.87, got closer to that $30 mark, and then backed off again right around that $25 mark in October before it started taking off, almost doubling in price, sitting at $42.98 currently. just crazy price increases for some of these cards. But I'm curious to know what you guys think, what the ceiling looks like, if you think these will continue to rise. Very interesting. I know I did watch a reel or something yesterday where somebody was talking about a black label Gengar and Mimikyu tag team full art, not even the alternate art that they just bought as a pop one. And I didn't verify that information, but I'm curious to know what the pop report looks like on some of these cards, because I haven't actually done that kind of digging yet to see how the quality control was for these later sets. I know not everything was perfect. These sets, if I remember correctly, not too bad. Before we got to the Sword and Shield block, quality was fairly good, but you just don't pull a lot of these cards, and especially when you're looking at team up packs selling for $20-$25 a piece, it's crazy because you're investing a lot just to try and pull some of these alternate arts. So it's pretty insane. But let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Thank you guys so much for everything. If you do enjoy the content, please consider hitting that subscribe button. Maybe I'll see you tonight, maybe I'll see you tomorrow night, but I really appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for everything. Leave a like, leave a comment. It goes a really long way for the algorithm. We'll be back with another video on Thursday, but like I said, hopefully I'll see you before then. Until next time, guys, peace.